we're at Heathrow because we're flying out to Venice to test the new Levi boat's rib. The first rib they've built, it uses the legendary Sunny Levi hull. They've stuck a bespoke deck on some tubes and a serious bunch of horsepower. Should be something really special. They've also got a Levi Corsair in build that we're going to have a look at too. Should be a great couple of days. Let's go. How Italian is this scene? We have woodworking going on behind me, we have a Corsair nearing completion down here, and in the middle of the workshop we have lunch laid out, sandwiches, some lovely local delicacy, and of course beer, but maybe we'll save that for now, because at the moment we're going to have to dodge the rain and take the rib out for a spin. We've just had a 14-knot blast from the shipyard through the lagoon to this point here where we've met the photo boat, which is a rather gorgeous 1970 Riva 20 Bertram. Safe to say that the way this rib travels across the water is pretty spectacular, but more on the driving experience shortly, because first we better go and get some photos. So the Venetian weather hasn't really been out to play. It's been gloomy and rainy the entire time, but that hasn't done anything to wipe the smile off my face. I've been driving this thing. We have had great conditions today, a mix of really calm stuff in the lagoon and some properly big, steep, rolling swells out when you get back out to sea. And honestly, the driving sensation is pretty indescribable. I'll let the running shots do the talking really, because you can see quite how well this thing takes the water. Anyway, now we're going to head back up into the lagoon, and I'm going to let you turn the camera around so you can see the audience watching me do all this. So this boat is very much a med spec, as you can probably tell by this stubby windscreen that has offered very little protection apart from when you do this. But you can have totally different windscreen options. You can have much taller ones. You can also have a T-top. But as I said, this thing is destined for the med, hence why it's quite so open. But the beauty of the yard is that they will pretty much, within reason, do whatever you want when it comes to the layout and the physical structure of the deck and how all the seating fits together. But not ideal for these conditions, I have to say. Oh, that is lovely. How calm is that? If I go down this far into full motorbike mode, you just about get some protection from this stubby little windscreen. I should have bought a hat. One thing to mention about this hull is 25-degree dead rise. It's super sharp, amazingly soft riding and grippy, but it's also an incredibly efficient hull. This boat has got the single 260 horsepower Mercruiser diesel, top speed just over 40 knots today. But going along at 30 knots, you're basically doing 30 litres an hour, 10 knots, 10 litres an hour. It's only when you get up to over 30 knots does the fuel consumption start to spike off a bit. But even going along at 40 knots, you're still consuming just shy of 48 litres an hour. So yes, the performance is great, as is the seakeeping, but it's also an incredibly efficient hull too. That was just the most extraordinary experience. As close as you're going to get to testing it on a racetrack, basically slaloming through the canal there. And you could really appreciate just how amazingly talented this hull is. The grip is sensational, it's the only way to describe it. I can't feel my hands or my face, but that was amazing. Right, out she comes after a hard day's work. Pop the boat in the shed overnight, and then tomorrow we can have a closer look at the details on board in the light and the dry. So day two, we've got the boat in the shed in the dry, and we can have a bit of a closer look at the details. Now, of course, it uses Sunny Levi deep V hull design, 25 degrees at the dead rise. It's resin infused, as are the majority of the mouldings on board. It's a sandwich construction with a high density foam core, 20 millimeters in the bow sections and beneath the engine, and 40 millimeters in between. If we work our way back down the boat, we can take a look at the drive system. So this is using the Bravo 3-leg counter-rotating propellers, and it's also got about €6,000 worth of K-plane hydraulic trim tabs as well. There are a plethora of different deck layouts you can have on this boat. This one's very leisure focused, but you can have a more super yacht tender focused one, which has got a partition down the middle here so that people can sit back to back, and slightly more comfortable seating up front. But as I said, this one is about enjoying your day out in the sun, and the detailing is absolutely superb. Pop-up cleats aft here emblazoned with the logo, carbon fibre flagstaff and light mast. And this area here, as you can see, that converts between being a sun pad, as it is now, but this also switches round so that it can become a backrest to give people some support when the boat is moving along. This helm area, the boat is very low slung. It's designed to be this particular one because they want it to be clear that it can fit inside the tender garage of a super yacht, hence why you have this very stubby windscreen and quite low seating. These are great for leaning against. This position is really good when you're out at sea, but when you're sat, the backrests are just a little bit low. Beneath the seats, you have some storage here and a fridge on this model. And then moving forward, underneath the console, on this boat, it's just storage, but you can have a toilet down here if you want, which is obviously going to be better if you're using the boat as a day boat. Forward, this is your main dining area on board this one. You can put this table down as well to create a sun pad, so it's pretty flexible. And to cover the whole thing, you have carbon fibre poles that slot into the deck, so you can have some protection from the sun as well. This is boat building, the likes of which you simply don't see anymore. This Corsair here takes 1,200 man-hours to build, and the rib takes 800. Now, of course, this kind of bespoke craftsmanship does not come cheap. The rib to this spec comes in at just shy of €250,000. But take it out to sea and you instantly recognise where that money is going. In the finish, the balance and seakeeping of the hull, and the performance, given the fact that we had the smallest engine fitted. It is quite simply an awesome machine.